On this quiet street in Gulf Breeze, Florida, a married couple is fighting like any other couple would on a normal afternoon. But today is different for these two.
What was that? You just shot me. She just shot him. I just heard 4 shots.
On September 8th, 2021, Turner's house made 3 911 calls to the local police department. This was the last call made by someone to the emergency services. It's clear they're in trouble, but the call rarely records a crime. In this case, the sound of gunshots was exactly what it sounded like. 34-year-old Colin. When police arrived at the scene of the murder, they found Colin's wife, 34-year-old Bree Kuhn. She was the only adult in the house, and it was clear she had something to do with it. But why did she kill her husband so brutally while he was on the phone with the police? They had a troubled relationship with kids involved, and it turned into a murder. It should have been a fairy tale marriage, but on the decoder, things don't always go that way. This is the sad story of Bree Kuhn and Colin Turner. Gulf Breeze is a peaceful and beautiful spot in the Florida area around Pensacola. It's on the coast, a great place to vacation or retire, and is known for its great schools, beaches, and good education. What more could a family want? But some families bring their strife with them. It was a normal Wednesday afternoon near the end of summer when a police patrol car was called to a quiet suburban street. This wasn't the first call they got from this house that afternoon, but this one was fatal.
Anybody else in there? Can we open this?
The cops had to crawl under the door to get into Colin Turner's garage, which was now a crime scene. When they got inside, they found Colin dead on the floor and covered in blood.
I don't know who he is, but he's in the garage. 3 in the chest, or looks like 3 in the chest. Might be 2. They said they heard 4 gunshots, though.
4 shots were heard on the 911 call, and then Colin spoke no more.
Sir, are you there? He's not answering.
This is why the police arrived so quickly. The 911 operator thought she heard a murder happen in real time. Colin was found dead in his garage, so it looked like she was right. The cops quickly searched the whole house, especially the kitchen, where they found a gun that they thought was used in the murder.
It looks like it's in the holster.
Yeah.
But it's stuck behind the toaster.
Stuck behind a toaster.
The gun was hidden in the kitchen. The victim was locked in the garage, and the kids were just across the street. They had been in the house when their father was killed. When the police arrived, they found 3 kids there. 2 were Colin and Bree's kids, ages 4 and 3, and the third was Bree's 12-year-old daughter from a previous relationship. Bree was talking to her daughter on a neighbor's porch about what had happened.
She told her that everything would be fine and that she was sorry. And when I spoke to her, I asked her if she was all right. And she said that I shot him.
Bree admitted right in front of her daughter that she had shot her husband just minutes after the killing.
She told me that she shot him because he was going to take that she shot him because he was going to take my children.
Bree looked like she was shocked.
Are you in shock?
Yeah. Well, do me a favor. Can you,
Is he alive?
they're working on him right now.
Okay.
At first, she didn't seem to know that she had killed Colin. But as the cops patted her down, the horrible truth hit her.
He was dead. I saw him and I tried to help, but he was dead.
Well, let's not talk about that right now, okay?
My kids don't have a dad or a mom now. And it's my fault. And he's right. I'm a murderer.
Listen, you're not. Listen to me. You're not under arrest right now. You're being detained. Okay? While we investigate.
No, you should arrest me. I killed my husband.
Bree was having a rough time. She was sure Colin was dead, but then she said it was possible he wasn't.
Hopefully I just shot him. Maybe he's not dead. He should not be dead. How come they're not going to get him? The ambulance.
Colin was already dead from his wife's hands, so the ambulance wasn't going to come get him. She seemed very sorry for what she did. She knew it wasn't right, so why did she do it? How did this normal afternoon become so sad and end in death? In May 1987, Bree Kuhn was born. She finished from East Mississippi Community College in 2012, when she was 25 years old, and then joined the Navy, which is where she met Colin Turner, from Georgia. Colin and Bree were the same age. He was in the U.S. Marine Corps for 14 years and worked his way up to gunnery sergeant, before getting a medical release for a traumatic brain injury. He then became a stay-at-home dad to his and Bree's kids. Bree stayed in the Navy and became a leading petty officer at Naval Air Station, Pensacola. This could have left Colin feeling let down and resentful while he took care of the kids, but he kept himself busy by studying for a degree in electrical engineering online. He had been accepted into a master's program at Johns Hopkins University and wrote on his Facebook profile that he would start studying there in January 2022. But sadly, that day would never come. It's not clear what brought these two together or what they had in common other than being in the Navy and both having kids from previous relationships. They were committed to building a life together, and their first child was born in 2017 and their second in 2018. However, things seemed to be going badly in their relationship recently. Colin recently tagged Bree in a Facebook meme that said, "Fun fact, most archaeologists are women because they are naturally good at digging up the past." Bree had been using Facebook to ask for advice about divorce lawyers, writing that she thought the case would probably be ugly, contested one involving children and property. Something very bad had happened between this loving couple, so bad that they broke up in murder on September 8th. The police were called 3 times, but both times they failed to stop the worst possible outcome until they got to the scene and found the man they had been talking to dead on the floor. The first 911 call came in at 12:53 p.m. Colin and Bree got into a big fight, and Bree was the one who called the police.
She's got a shotgun and her pistol in the bedroom with her.
Okay.
And my pistol is on the dashboard of my truck.
Bree said that Colin was being violent with her.
What's going on today, ma'am?
So my husband is trying to take the kid. He threw me on the floor and pushed me against the wall.
And this all happened today?
Yes, happened today. We've been having issues over since the weekend.
What are the issues about?
Just typical relationship stuff. His go-to is to use the kids against me. So he's trying to take them to Georgia. And I don't want them to go.
The kids kept talking over the officer because they wanted to show him something. They didn't seem to understand how dangerous it was, brewing above their heads, or maybe they were just used to it. Maybe this was how a typical day in Bree and Colin's house went, with the fear of violence always there.
I have appointments with attorneys. I don't want him in the house. He ran me over the weekend. I just want
You got any marks anywhere? You got any bruises or anything?
No.
The problem is I got to be able to prove it.
Bree wanted the police to take her husband out of the house because she said he had attacked her, but she didn't have any proof, and the police told her that her word wasn't enough.
We're not going to get involved with you guys taking the kids or separating the kids or saying that this parent or that parent can take the children. That's
Okay.
not unless there's a protection order or a domestic violence injunction or something from a court. If you want, I'll get you a statement and get you started on that. Fill it out. Tell me what happened today.
I think I'm sitting with the kids and get out of here, and I can fill them out at another time.
The police officer told Bree that giving a full statement would be the first step in getting a court order against Colin if what she said was true, but she refused, saying that she might do it later because her kids came first. The police then talked to Colin.
Was at any point in time did it get physical? I told you I tried to grab my daughter last night, and she got physical and stopped me. So I backed the fuck off at that point. That kind of allegation is the last thing I need.
Bree showed up with bags to pack his things, possibly to get him to leave. The couple kept fighting.
I'm not leaving the kids with you. Borderline rage last night, and it's continuing to now. I figured out I was trying to take my kids. Georgia. Give space between the two of us, not take the fucking kids away from her.
I got you.
I'm the primary caretaker of the kids, only caretaker of the kids.
Colin gave a very different account. He said that Bree was unstable and that he was going to take the kids to his parents' house in Georgia to get away from her for a while and help everyone calm down.
So nobody pushing anybody, nobody trying to hit anybody. Any reason why she would say maybe that you did batter her?
Because she has borderline personality disorder, and it's a textbook thing for people with that disorder to do, is make false allegations.
While Bree was on active duty in the Navy on September 8th, she had been unrestricted duty in the past for a suicide attempt, which led to a Baker Act proceeding for her to get treatment. She was on medication and attending therapy sessions around the time of the shooting, according to her superior. She had missed some of these sessions and had been skipping work, which were signs that she had been acting erratically, and Colin was adamant that he was trying to calm things down. He wrote a statement to that effect and signed it. Whatever the truth was, the police weren't going to get involved.
We can't stop you from doing anything. Y'all are married. Only we can stop you from being violent with each other.
These words couldn't have been more ironic, but the police left Colin and Breed to it. But at 5 p.m., they got another call. This time, it was Colin calling, and he said the same thing. They were having a heated fight.
Hey, my wife won't let me in my house. She's got mental health stuff going on. I was trying to leave for Georgia to get a break from her for me and the kids earlier today, and then she called you guys. And when I was talking to you guys, she took my photo ID, all my access to money and everything, and then took the kids inside and locked me out.
It looked like Debris was messing with Colin's property, so this wasn't just a fight.
She was mad that I turned off the Wi-Fi last night, so she washed my laptop in the dishwasher. And that's kind of like the last straw.
After the cops left the first time, she locked him outside the house. When the police officer talked to Bree again, she said the same things she had said before, that Colin had hit her and was trying to take her kids away. She told him that he had talked to her Navy bosses without her knowing.
He had been in contact with my command. There's allegations of emotional abuse.
Around 2 p.m., that same day, after the first 911 call, Colin called her bosses.
He said that Bree had removed their access to the financial information, as well as he put his computer through the dishwasher. It was just a very general, casual conversation like we're having now. It wasn't escalated or anything. It wasn't any holler or screaming. It seemed very reasonable to me. When we look at a couple of things here, we call it spouse emotional abuse. The Navy says when you remove financial capabilities or you start causing damage to people's equipment or stuff, it's a form of emotional abuse.
What she did was considered emotional abuse by the Navy. Colin's commanders asked him if he felt safe at home with Bree, and he said he did. They then called Bree to talk about it, and she said Colin was lying. They also asked her the same things they had asked Colin.
I asked her if she felt safe inside the residence. She said for her and her kids, and she said that she did.
But when the police talked to Bree, she told them a different story. She said Colin had attacked her and used her daughter to manipulate her, but the police couldn't do anything because Bree didn't have any proof.
If it turns physical at any point, somebody's going to have to go to jail. Okay? State law requires somebody to go to jail. If somebody gets physical and there's an evidence of it, somebody's going to jail. Okay, whether it's you, whether it's her, I don't know.
Somebody was going to jail, but someone had to die first. The police left for what they hoped would be the last time, hoping that Colin and Bree would get along for the sake of the kids. They couldn't have been more wrong. An hour later, at 6:22 p.m., Cole and Bree called 911 again, but this time, something was different.
Hi, you guys have been out to my house twice today, and then most recently, the deputy talked my wife into letting me in the house, and then she locked me in the garage, and I tried to break my arm when I was trying to get back inside. She locked the door behind me, and then when I tried to...
A day of getting worse. Domestic fights ended in a deadly shooting. His death was confirmed by an autopsy report. He was shot in the back in what seemed to be a random attack.
Is there any doubt in your mind whatsoever that the wounds in Mr. Turner's back are entrance wounds?
I have no doubt whatsoever.
Even though Bree said Colin was beating and manipulating her, she locked him in the garage so he couldn't get away when she came at him with a gun. The police already knew who killed Colin, but they interviewed Bree to find out why.
I talked to a lot of people tonight, okay? I feel like your voice is the most important. I don't want to give you the opportunity to kind of explain or maybe give us a little bit of insight exactly what happened tonight.
Bree went over the day's 911 calls and said again that the fights were about the kids.
He said that since I had tried to kill myself a couple months ago, that Judge of the World would give me custody of children. He threw me on the ground.
But the cops already knew all of that. What they wanted to know was what came next.
So what happened after the law enforcement left the second time?
I don't remember. He was in the garage again, and I locked him out. He tried coming in, so I blocked the door, and he kicked my foot and was trying to push to go to the door to get my kids. And I took him out of the house around back to go to the neighbor's house, and I saw a kid to go 911. And to take the kids so I could go back and help him because I shot him.
Bree painted a confused picture. Somewhere in the middle of this fight, she'd shot her husband, and she knew what she'd done because she took the kids out of the house knowing that they shouldn't be around, but by then, it was too late.
How many times did you shoot him, Bree? Sure. So just to kind of...
I didn't mean to shoot him. It was at least twice I didn't mean to shoot him, but I did. And he said something, and just the look on his face.
What was the look on his face?
He was going to kill me.
Investigators don't believe Bree when she says it was in self-defense.
Where did you get the gun? And you said you came to the door. Did you already have the gun in your hands? You already had the gun in your hand when you came to the garage door?
That was another question she couldn't answer. She also couldn't say what Colin was doing when she came to the garage with the gun. She didn't say he was holding a weapon or anything that could threaten her. The police already knew he had been on the phone with 911, so they let her call her dad on her cell phone. Eric was Bree's brother.
I mean, I've got to believe there was a reason it happened. Typically don't go around shooting people without a reason. He threatening you, or were you in the middle of an argument? Eric seemed to think he sounded like Colin was mocking you at the time. But I don't know.
Her family was trying to figure out why she might have done this, but it wasn't clear at first.
This is so uncharacteristic. Why did you have a gun? Was he going to hurt you?
I don't know.
What's that?
I don't know.
Unlike what she told the police detectives that she felt like Colin was going to kill her, she admitted to her father that she didn't know, and she felt horribly bad about it.
You really killed my best friend.
She did.
My husband. father of my kids. I just fucked up everybody. I killed him and fucked up everybody else's life.
Jurors had to decide if Brun was guilty of murder or self-defense when he went on trial in September 2024. Along with the body camera footage and the recorded police interview, evidence from Bree and Colin's phones in the days before the killing was also shown. For example, Bree recorded a video on her phone right before she called 911.
So this is a back and forth thing. This is really what you want to do in front of the kids.
I want you to leave the house, or I can take.
I want you to leave the house.
I don't want to be around you in front of the kids at all.
Okay, then leave.
I don't trust you with your kids.
I don't trust you with your kids.
Unstable.
You're on disability for being emotionally unstable.
Or for joint pain.
Colin was kicked out of the Marines because of a traumatic brain injury a few years ago, which Bree's defense used as an example of irrational and unstable behavior. However, both sides had medical issues that could have affected their judgment, so this argument didn't hold water. Bree's ex-partner, who is the father of her 12-year-old daughter, also testified that he had received text messages from Colin at 12:55 p.m. on the day Colin was killed, right around the time Bree was recording the cell phone video. Colin said,
Hey man, Bree's losing it. She ran my laptop through the dishwasher last night because I turned the Wi-Fi off. I'm planning on getting out of here with the little kids, but she's already told me she'll press charges if I take Kylie with me. I don't know what you can do legally, but I wanted to give you a heads up.
As Bree's ex-boyfriend replied with sympathy, Colin told him that Bree was going downhill and making bad decisions. The ex-boyfriend answered at 6:09 p.m., 13 minutes before the shooting, and Colin said,
You're gonna be worse before it gets better too. She's always told her stories about you, and I thought you sucked, but now that I think about it, she's crazy as hell and probably did the same stuff to you.
Colin was locked in the garage when Bree's ex-husband talked to her current husband in real time. He never replied again, but after the shooting, Bree called her ex and told him he needed to come get their daughter.
I said, why do I need to come get my daughter? And she said, I just shot Colin. And I responded, I said, why? And she said, I don't know.
Bree's behavior toward her husband was getting worse. She cut him off from his money, so he had to ask for help from the Navy, and it had only been the night before. She had stolen his laptop and locked him in the shed. No Way Out was the latest in a long line of crazy actions, but he couldn't have expected her to kill him, as his shock on the 911 call shows. At first, Bree had planned to appear in her own trial along with an expert witness who would tell the jury that Bree had PTSD and had been abused by her husband. However, this did not happen. She chose not to after talking with her lawyers for almost an hour. Bree's brother Eric was the only witness for the defense. Eric said that on September 8th, she had been on the phone with Bree and that he almost heard the shooting.
What exactly did you hear in terms of a physical altercation? Can you describe it?
I heard things banging. I heard my nieces and nephews crying and yelling. I heard my sister saying she was being hit. I heard Colin yelling, and I heard, I wouldn't know how to describe it, things hitting the ground or things being hit, like bumped or something, like slams.
Okay. So things are being hit, and she's telling you Colin is hitting her. Is that correct? You don't know what's going on. Obviously, you can't see what's going on, can you?
Had only heard the altercation. He hadn't seen it. He relied on what his sister was telling him.
Did Bree ever mention a gun to you?
I believe right at the end she said she was getting a gun to protect the kids, and I said, just leave. And I said he wouldn't hurt them. She said he would kill them, and that is when the call ended, when she shot him.
However, Eric hadn't talked about the gun in his earlier interviews with the police. This was picked up by the prosecution and was enough to make the jury doubt his testimony. After 4 hours of deliberation, Bree's fate was decided. The jury found Bree Kuhn guilty of first-degree murder. They said she killed her husband on purpose and not in self-defense. She shot him in the back because he was threatening to take her kids away. She got the minimum sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole for this crime. Her daughter now lives with Bree's ex, the daughter's father, and Colin and Bree's kids are still growing up without their parents. We'll never know if the police could have stepped in sooner and stopped this terrible thing from happening. And that wraps up this case. But is there more to the story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new true crime case. Until next time, stay safe and stay vigilant.